Hey guys, we're back. I'm going to be working on a red wash and some red creases. It's pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to mix up some regular red and you're going to get it wash consistency. So it should be thinner than the modeling that we did. I'm going to make quite a bit because I have two babies. So it should be about half of what it was as a model. It's quite see-through, even on the paper. And here, that might help. So it's quite a bit see-through. You can see the palette underneath. I just have more in there, so of course it looks more concentrated, but as you can tell, it's quite watery. And we're also going to make sure it's down in the crease as well, which is no big deal. You just put it in and wipe it out just like you would any other time. Let me see, I'm going to use this one for my crease. Alright, let's see. I'm going to put it on, get it kind of saturated at first. Soaks in well. Okay. Nice even pounces. Try not to pounce too hard, but you definitely want to see some color. And I will show you her next to Leo before I do Leo, so you can see that there is quite a bit of a difference after this layer. A bit of a fuzzy on her face there for a second. And I'm not pushing hard on the paper towel, I'm just kind of touching it to try to get the excess thinner off. And the good thing about this wash is even though it's super thin, it still helps to get those creases darker. So when you've got it just about even. Man, that did not go away, did it? That fuzzy was persistent. Okay, so once you've done that, make sure your brush is wiped well. Just gonna go gently into the creases, inside the nose, lips, anywhere we did creasing before. And then you can use the dry end, pounce off extra. Get it a little crazy, it's okay. It bounces off. Okay, so I'm going to drag that out. And it also helps with the blushing. Just warms everything up. That's all this layer is doing. And the next thing that we're going to be doing is like a light apple green color, which will go nicely with this red, even though it doesn't sound like it will. We'll kind of peach it up a little, give it some more dimension, but it has to be like really yellow green. Can't be more green than yellow. It has to be more yellow than green. That makes sense. Sorry, I didn't mean to build the camera. Okay, go over where you pounced before, like the edges, because it makes a square or rectangle. Kind of go all the way around it, and that way it blends in together and you don't end up with defined edges of this sponge. And you can use any sponge you want. You can use those egg-shaped ones too. It's fine. Or you can tear it and use it for like a little bit of a texture. But I used to do that, but I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. Okay. Down to the ear. I think I missed it. Okay. Lightly tap it out. Because you remember we want it to be a little wet, just like the wash is. So we don't want to completely pull it out, but kind of dab at it a little. Make sure you've hit everything. Oh, there's Winnie. She's so cute. Okay. Now her little limbs. Now in the video, I'm just going to call this washing. You're just adding a little extra in the creases. Most people say just wipe out the creases, but I'm wanting to put more color on there, so I'm going to add it into the creases. If you can see it pulling in there, make sure you pull it out. You'll be able to tell what that looks like. You definitely want to go back over and get those creases dried out, because the paint will settle in there and then you end up with little chalky bits and it doesn't look nice. Man, my hair is shedding. Whew. Alrighty. Craziness. I think I shed worse than my dogs, maybe. I got onto my husband a couple of months ago because when he was shaving, he didn't get all the hairs cleaned up off the counter. And I said, don't leave your hair on the counter. And he said, well, you do. Because every time I comb my hair, there's like a whole bunch left over on the counter and I don't always see it. And I'm like, touche. Oh, I don't complain about that anymore. I just make sure my hair is not on the counter when I get done. You may notice it looks like your creases are getting paler, and that's just because you're adding more paint to the rest of the baby. So you'll have to keep up with the creases so that it'll darken up. These creases are kind of tiny. And if you notice there's thicker pigment left on the limbs or the face, whatever, when you're doing it, it's because your paint is too thick. You'll have to thin it down. This should be very, very pale, subtle. I just realized I was out of camera. It's okay. And I'm just blending what I pulled out. And I'm not going to show Leo. I'm trying to keep these videos like 20 to 30 minutes long. Leo, it just came out of the oven, so he's kind of hot to hold anyway. So you get all the creases, the ones that you did. Between the fingers, I'm going to hit the ones in the nails. Like I did the toes. I'm going to use the smaller one. Just because these creases are super tiny. Okay, we're going to end up doing 2 layers of this red. The second layer you don't have to do the creases if you don't want to. Actually, you don't have to do the creases this time either if you don't want to. I just want to get those creases built up. Even if it's just a little tiny bit, I think it looks better and it goes quicker. That could just be me. before you do your second layer, make sure it dries really well. And whatever you pull out, make sure you blot at it so it blends and you don't end up with a streak when it dries. Okay, so this hand has that really deep, I'm going to call it a pocket. It's between the thumb and those fingers. We're definitely going to hit those. I'm just going to kind of paint at it because it's hard to get in that hand with the sponge. I'm going to use a dry brush here just because I want it washed all over so that I don't miss, and pouncing it with a dry brush like that after you've painted it would help. Oh, my fingers are getting stuck. Okay, let it dry and then hit it again. This video is just under 20 minutes, so that's pretty good. The second time you don't have to do your creases, but make sure that if you do put it on that it's not so wet that it pulls down into the creases, and if it does, use your little creaser and pull it out. And then make sure you pat it afterwards so that you don't end up with little streaks that come out both ends of the crease.